That's why I prefer X, to be honest with you.
Okay, understandable. One more question. Easy question, potentially. Favorite blade?
I think I gotta go with katana.
Katana? Katana's a blade?
Is katana blade? What are you talking about? Obviously.
Okay, I just never heard of katana.
I think he's thinking of an actual sword blade, like an actual blade katana.
Well, yeah, I mean, what other blades would we be talking about?
Considering we've been talking about Xenoblade for the past 2 hours, Xenoblade blades, dumbass.
Oh! I'll go with Wolfric.
I'll say Veil.
I'll say Cassandra.
Okay, good choices. I remember playing as maybe one of them. It was fun. Yeah, definitely.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite blade. My favorite blade would probably be. Let me think.
On backlog. Been gone for way too long. On backlog. Got so many games to play, dog. On backlog. Donkey Kong expands my dome. On backlog. Me and Carlo been fucking since dawn. On backlog. Did you know, yeah, Carlo wears thongs? On backlog. I really fucking hate this song. Yeah.
I am honored.
What is up, guys? It is Robert of Gaming with Me, and welcome to Back at the Backlog, the series where we take a look at the games that I recently beat off my backlog. Today's episode is on the game Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, the Golden Country. Back in Season 1 we played Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I really enjoyed a ton. It's gonna be 3 years already since that episode, and I can't even believe that. That's just crazy to me. As for the franchise, only a couple months ago Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was released. I haven't played it yet, but I am looking forward to playing it one of these days. Today we head back to the world of Alrest and the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 expansion. Yes, this is a prequel to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. While you can purchase it as a DLC to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you can purchase it physically as a standalone game, which is just awesome. This was a pretty rare pickup, but luckily the wonderful world of Canada had, I guess, a bunch of new copies, so I managed to pick one up at a normal retail price instead of a higher scalper price, which is also just awesome. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, the Golden Country was released on September 14th, 2018 for the Nintendo Switch. It was developed by Monolith Soft and published by Nintendo. Is it worth going back to Alrest with Torna, the Golden Country? Well, here we are 4 years after its original release. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the story first. We are welcomed to the character of Laura, the driver of the blade Jin. Blades are special life forms that are created and summoned when a driver touches a core crystal. From there on out, blades supply a driver with a bunch of power and a weapon. When the blade's driver dies, the blade is put back in the core crystal, and when summoned in the future, will have no memory of its past life or previous drivers. Jin is a character that we met in the base game of Chronicles 2, but in that game he was a villain. Not in this game. The villain in Torna is none other than Malos, the villain of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Malos is a blade, but the most powerful form of one, an Aegis. Aegises are different from your typical blade, like they can actually live past their driver's death and even have blades of their own. He was awakened by a Malthus, a man set in the ways of war and murder. Because of this, Malos is out to destroy the world. He believes it's his purpose, wipe out the human race as they are all mistakes to him and a Malthus. Because of this, Laura, Jin, and the several other characters on your journey set out to stop Malos before it's way too late. Given it's a prequel story, I did know what was going to happen, especially since Malos is the villain in the main game, and I think you know how it goes too. However, I was very curious into what happened in the events leading up to Jin turning evil, Malos still being around, Mithra turning into Pyra, There are genuine stories and questions that could be answered, and I was excited to play this story out.
Spoilers, man. Spoilers!
I didn't say any spoilers.
Jin being evil is a spoiler.
Well, do you consider me saying Darth Vader is a villain a spoiler?
Bro, shut up! I had no clue. I was planning on watching those movies soon.
Right off the bat, visually this game is great. I do feel that visually this game looks the slightest bit better than Xenoblade Chronicles 2. You are immediately thrown into a really dense forest which already looked better than a lot of areas in the base game. The variety of environments is not nearly as grand as the base game though, considering it's mostly green grass you'll be traversing. I did very much like being back in the world of Allrust overall though. The music, the atmosphere, the art style, the characters, it's something that makes the Xenoblade franchise very unique. Something like seeing the titans that you are in the backs of in the distance will never cease to amaze me. However, this time I was following the characters Laura and Jin instead of Rex and Pyra. I really enjoyed Rex, but Laura is easily just a lot more enjoyable as a character, and the actual chemistry between Laura and Jin feels real. I enjoyed seeing conversations between Pyra, Mithra, and Rex, but you join Laura and Jin when they've already been together for 17 years. They have created a lifelong relationship already, and it shows in the dialogue and the overall story. While it is a prequel story, in many ways it does feel very self-contained. I enjoyed the story of Laura and Jin meeting up with characters like Adam and Hugo to stop Malos. It does feel like a standalone game not only because of its focus on a new set of characters, but also the combat. I didn't quite get the handle of the combat of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 until very late in the game. Luckily though, that knowledge of 2's combat does transfer over to Torna's. However, there are some major differences that make Torna's combat even more enjoyable than the base game of 2. If you don't know how the combat works, I'm gonna try to break it down as simple as I can. When versing an enemy, the character you are controlling automatically attacks. Generally, you are pressing nothing, and all the characters in your party will attack. Every auto attack fills up your arts in the bottom right corner. Once an art is filled, you can now use whichever one is ready, and they are assigned to each of the 4 face buttons. Arts are more powerful attacks and are to be used more strategically. They could be used better on a certain side of an enemy, or inflict a status on an enemy such as break. When an enemy is inflicted with break, you can use another status such as topple to do exactly that. Topple your enemy, making it unable to attack, and have your party gang up on it for major damage. Then you also have your specials. Your specials get higher whenever you use an art, and they can go up to 4 levels. Each character has a different kind of special, and when used can cause massive damage. These specials are super important to taking out powerful enemies because when you perform a special, an elemental orb surrounds an enemy. Now these elemental orbs are important when these bars on the top left fill up all the way. That's your party gauge, and when it's full, your party will be able to perform a chain attack, essentially pausing the battle and allowing one character from every group to deal some big damage to the enemies. This is the point where elemental orbs come into play. If a character deals enough damage to break an elemental orb, you'll be able to go around the party again for another round of chain attacks. Sometimes you'll be able to go around 6-7 times, and it is super satisfying. And at that point you'll pull off a full burst, just absolutely dealing an insane amount of damage that will likely kill any enemy. What I really enjoyed about Torna's combat is how fast it is. Racking up elemental orbs is so much faster than the base game since every special adds an elemental orb. You don't have to do 3 specials in a row like in the base game just to get 1 orb. Then there's also the fact that you could play as both the driver and blade. Anytime you get damage, your health goes down, but also there's a red health part that lasts there and slowly goes to the blue health. If you rotate your character out to whoever is next, you'll recover back some health to where the red health is. Not only that, but switching the character has that new rotated character's arts fully ready to be used right away. Again, speeding up these fights, making them fluid and fun. You can't switch right away, of course, there's a recharge every time you switch, but I love that idea. There's some decision making to be had. You can stick to someone like Laura and perform the art Hungry Snake, which potentially inflicts break on an enemy, but then switch to Jin to topple an enemy. But what if you took some major damage? Is it worth the wait for the art, or should you recover back some of the health and use Jin's arts right away? It's legit a really streamlined, smarter, more refined combat system from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It made the pacing of the combat a lot more fun, as that was one of my problems with the base game. A lot of the battles just took too long for no reason, even with some of the basic enemies. Torna enhances that combat a lot in those interesting ways, and I was super happy to see it. There's still some enemies in combat that are just cheap still. Some enemies have a randomized one-hit kill, and I will always say that one-hit kills is just bad enemy design. Having to redo battles because one enemy destroyed my entire party in one hit just makes my eyes roll.
Every time I got killed in one hit, I just stopped for the day. I can't take it.
Understandable, man. That shit is annoying.
I would get so angry. I'd break a bunch of shit with my lightsaber.
What shit were you breaking?
Nothing indoors, just outside stuff. Trees, gates, windows, cars.
You may need to get some help.
As long as I don't die in one hit in a game, everything will be fine.
Leveling up in Torna is also so much faster, which is understandable given its length, but it was nice being level 50 17 hours in compared to probably 50 hours. This also has helped with camping. Camping allows you to rest at a spot to talk with each other's characters, level up characters, and craft different foods or items for different stat boosts. It reminded me of Final Fantasy 15 with camping, and I do love me some Final Fantasy 15. The overall main quest for Torna is pretty damn good, but it feels even smaller in scale than it actually is for a couple of reasons. The lack of environments is the biggest one to me. We go from grassy area to grassy area to grassy area with one exception of a desert. The desert is a fine little distraction with some cool hidden areas. It is filled with the high leveled enemies as this is the area you'll be passing by in the later half of the game. You have this one town, but overall the environments make the adventure feel limited in scope. Then there's also the biggest offender of this game, and that is the padding. This game just may have some of the most padding I've ever experienced in a game so far, and I'm genuinely serious about that. I finished this game in like 19 hours, so it's not necessarily a short game. Sure, it's a ton shorter than the mainline games, but 19 hours is nothing to scoff at. However, it does feel like the main story is half that length, and it literally might be. The reason is they force you to do so many side quests to progress the main story. I didn't care for the side quests for the base game. In Torna, they are improved and given slight more weight, but even then, I just wanted to continue the main story that led to cool cutscenes and scenarios that Laura and the group were put into. This isn't a case of doing the side missions to level up your characters so you could take on a higher level enemy. No, there is a section of the game that is introduced in this game called Community. Anytime you talk to an NPC with unique dialogue, they'll be put into the community section and what part of the map they are from. It's an interesting way of putting a name and a face to even the most basic NPC interactions. NPCs with quests will eventually join your community circle when said quest is complete. They will thank the group with a little note, and then that is one more person in your community. The more you add to your community, the higher your level of community will be. That's genuinely really cool, and it gives more incentive to do side quests. Or they could just force it upon you and you have no other option but to do those side quests that are essentially just time wasters. There is a time in your journey where they stop your progress and say, level up your community to level 2. What? Why? Yeah, forget about stopping Malos, even though that's pretty fucking important. No, help this one guy cook a meal that reminds him of home. Alright. Let's cook this guy a meal. You find points in the world with the needed ingredients, then you cook the meal. Head back to the guy, and he loves it. Cool, I don't care. Join my community. Oh, wait. He says it's too good. The cooking back home isn't that good. Little comical for sure, but then we actually gotta go search for more ingredients and make a shittier dish for this man. So then you do. He thinks it's horrible, which is great, and yes, that's funny, I will admit. Then he finally joins the community. That's 1 down, 15 more to go. Yeah. This is the ultimate form of padding. Let me just play the game, man. The side quests are not entertaining enough to want to do 16 of them. They're just not. Luckily, 15 more members doesn't always mean 15 more side quests. It pretty much does, but you'll likely be able to have some side quests that gain you 2 to 3 new community members at once, which is nice. Then a few times there will be NPCs that you just have to talk to and they'll automatically join your community. That definitely saves some time for sure. But man, Halting progress to do this shit is just straight up padding and bad design. There is no way around it. The best form of side content are ones that are just as well thought out as the main story. That's the type of side content that I'll go out of my way to do or even prefer over the main story. Content that is memorable and has the same level of care as the main missions. The most recent example of that I'll always point towards is Yakuza Like a Dragon. I did almost every single side quest. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. It was like an extra 50 missions that are genuinely pretty beefy. They still had cutscenes, voice acting, dialogue, and a wide variety of scenarios. I don't believe Torna side quests are that at all. Go fight this one monster, and how about you go get some ingredients and perform a bunch of combos. Like, what the fuck are these missions, man? Come on. You holding me for that? Not only that, but some of them had you do affinity charts, which I already ranted on those in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They are back here, but really only for side quests, which is absolutely fantastic. Essentially, there would be these roadblocks where you had to have certain blades, have certain skills at a certain level. It's stupid. There are some genuinely memorable quests that add to the characters, but thinking back, it's definitely less than 10 for me. It's probably like 5. You may be thinking 10 out of 16 is pretty good though. Well, if it stopped there, yeah. But towards the end of the game, they stop and say, hey, I know you were really interested in this Malos thing, but that community level? Yeah, I need you to go to 4. 4? Not level 3, but 4? Fucking 4? How many in your circle to get to 4? 48. 48 supporters you need. So you need me to do like 35 side quests? Are you kidding me? They're not joking. But goddamn, what a joke. Just put out a 10-hour game. Almost all of my recordings are of side quests because every day I had to rank up this community. There are fun ones. I'm not going to say I disliked my time. They're okay. But such a large majority of them are so unmemorable. Like, I'm never going to think about them in my life again. And that's half this game. I feel like I rarely got to do the main story. So much of my daily notes were of side quests. And that's because I had to do these pointless quests every day. And it's so funny because early on in the game, they talk about how these side quests are exactly that. You're optional. They're optional. And at the main quest, you could pick what do you want to do, either side quests or main story. I guess until you have to fucking actually do these side quests as the main story. It's a damn shame how much filler is in this game. I'd rather be hunting down Malos, getting closer with Laura, Jin, and everyone, but I couldn't. These character moments are pretty far in between each other. At least you get to know some of these townsfolk and learn more about the community, but sorry, I'm personally not going to remember most of these. No reason to halt progress. Monolith Soft, you guys created a well-paced 10-hour game, but you completely ruined the pace by stretching it to 19.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even bother to finish the game.
Really?
Yeah. I just watched the ending on YouTube. I was sick and tired of the side quest.
Damn. That's unfortunate though, because the ending's cool. The ending's real good.
I played every single side quest. I loved it. There's one side quest where you have to go to this place.
I don't care, bro. I'm done talking about these damn side quests.
Oh. Well. Fuck you then.
I'm sorry, man. Regardless, I am now going to talk about the ending, just to let you know. Oh my god, the main story. We haven't talked about that in a little while. Malos is determined to explode the Tornan Titan, ending the world of Torna and everyone on it. So Laura and the group arrive there just in time. There he is, Malos. It's 1 against 9. It just shows how powerful he is to be able to fight alone with no other enemies in the battle. It's impressive and shows his commanding and deadly spirit. Yeah, there's other enemies in the battle. So much for Macho Man Aegis motherfucking God Malos. Dude has 2 goddamn Transformers with him. Stupid. I will always continue to say every time this happens, having other enemies in your boss battle, especially the final boss, is just one of the biggest gaming sins. It makes it feel like any other battle. Sometimes they'll randomly deal massive damage, sometimes they don't, then you die, and when you die in this boss battle, you get sent back to the title screen. This game really likes to test my patience. I braked and toppled my way to victory, but I knew that wasn't the end. That just went by way too quickly. Mithra calls Ophion, this giant dragon thing, to take out Malos' fleet, but Malos brought even more backup. Mithra spawns a giant flying mech and so does Malos. They start battling in the background, then the actual final battle begins. You versus Malos. Only Malos. Hells yeah! Thank you. While taking on Malos, in the background are the two mechs fighting each other. It's genuinely epic. This battle switches up the party gauge and introduces the Siren gauge, which when it's filled up will trigger Mithra's mech to deal some massive damage to Malos' mech, and in the process damages Malos. Only thing is, Malos also has a Siren gauge, so it's a race to fill up the Siren gauge. It gets pretty damn intense when you're both neck and neck. I'm out here trying to spam specials and quickly build the gauge up. Multiple gauges later, Malos' health is taken down to half, and at this point the gauge changes back to normal, allowing you to do potentially an insane chain attack with all the elemental orbs you've racked up on Malos. Which is exactly what happened. Bursted a bunch of orbs until a full burst, dealing a crazy amount of damage, taking him from half health to like 10%. That whole chain attack was 3,402,726 damage! A record I'm sure I'll never be able to break. But even with that ridiculously high number, Malos was still up and fighting until that bastard just wasn't. God damn, I was nervous because that was a literal 20-minute fight. I died once in that phase, which yes, if you do die, you gotta fight from the first phase with the two mechs. Bullshit, but whatever. Taking out Malos with that massive chain attack was super satisfying. Even though you won, you didn't win at all. Malos destroys the town of Torna, people dying from explosions. The group looks over in despair. The destruction brings Mithra's true power out of her. Mithra and Malos fight the only way super powerful characters can, in the sky, in mechs. At this point, there is no controlling Mithra's power, and she isn't even herself at this point. She disintegrates Malos. Her power then takes out even the Tornan Titan. The world of Torna is crumbling, falling out of the sky, and everyone that can't be evacuated will soon die. Hugo is killed and it's all quiet with no music. The group hop aboard a ship and the group is devastated by the loss of Torna and Hugo. Off in the distance is this kid Mikhail that was with you on the journey that Mithra cared for. Even Mikhail was killed. Damn! They killed a kid, that's crazy. I personally didn't care because you really only saw him in cutscenes, but that takes some balls to kill a kid. A lot of companies don't want to be near child deaths. I gotta give props to Monolith and Nintendo on that shit. Anyway, Mithra sees and she completely falls apart, which was great to see. Mithra is a complete asshole for a decent chunk of this game, but she opens herself up and clearly cares for the people around her by the end of this depressingly good ending. Adam and the others split apart in a great cutscene where we see Pyra for the first time as Mithra locked herself away. Then, as Laura is sleeping, a giant creature roams to them and calls out her name. It turns out to be a fucked up creation from Amalthus and is actually Gort. Gort was Laura and her mother's abuser, and now Laura has to face Gort and finally end this bastard's life once and for all. Gort tried to kill Laura when she was just a child for awakening Jinn. Now Laura will try to kill Gort in self-defense. Yeah? So, this is the actual final battle. Yeah, I was not at all expecting this, but damn, this was awesome and nerve-wracking. If I die, do I have to restart the entire thing with even Malos again? I made sure to not find out as I bodied the sick fuck until he died. But damn, that was intense. I genuinely didn't know if I was going to win or not. The question of restarting amped up the intensity. You don't, by the way. I actually did replay this entire thing again just to find out what happens if you die. Well, it turns out you can't die. You just replenish all your health. I would have never guessed that, but that makes sense. That would be just too brutal to send someone all the way back. Once Gort is killed, the credits roll. The credits then quickly connect the dots to the base game of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Jin is burning the photo of Laura with a pretty sad monologue about wanting to see her again. He holds onto the hope of reviving Laura as they skip when she dies. Personally, I feel they could have made this road to Jin's darkness longer instead of pretty much skipping over it with just text scrolling by. Even this cutscene is too important to have text overlaid on it. The credits end with Pyra in a hibernation chamber and none other than the Star of Two opening up the entrance, Rex. Yeah, it's a downer ending, but I feel it's a bit rushed. I would have liked to have more of an ending for Adam because I do think he's a super cool character. I just think you could have made it even more depressing. But it is what it is. It's still really awesome and not your typical hero wins kind of ending, which I really like a lot. They show Laura's death in the base game, which I looked up the cutscene to refresh my memory, and after playing Torna actually genuinely got me choked up. Then after the ending, I actually dicked around in the world for like another hour just jumping off shit and hearing their falling sounds, which is just funny to me.
Oh, my legs.
The fact that everyone grunts in pain but Hugo says, "Ow, my legs," is just great. That was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna, the Golden Country. This was a good game that could have been a great game or even an amazing game if it wasn't for the awful pacing. I started to teeter on it just being okay, but I still had fun playing a good amount of the side quest even if it felt like it amounted to nothing. The protagonists of Torna are genuinely my favorite of Xenoblade so far. Laura, Jin, and Adam are fucking awesome, but you just don't get enough consistent time with them. Large portions are about the stupid townsfolk, but I don't give a shit about the damn townsfolk. Just fucking die! Which they did. All that community building for nothing. It's such a shame because you have a great 10-hour game that is unnecessarily stretched to a good, teetering on okay 17 to 20 hour game. It feels less than 10 hours actually being involved with the main story, and it might be. I'm not sure, but that is a damn shame. The combat is better than 2, the protagonists are better than 2, hell the community idea of side quests is better than 2, but the pacing and roadblocks are just so unfortunate and kills every ounce of momentum every single time side quests are brought up. Overall, I'm gonna give Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, the Golden Country a, the word community is officially a new curse word, out of 10. Good game, but man, talk about padding. Regardless, I enjoyed my journey with Laura, Jin, Adam, and the many others. There's 2 more Xenoblade games on the backlog, which are Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X. When will we play them? Who knows? I am very much looking forward to playing them though. By the way, can you believe this is the 40th episode for Back of the Backlog? 40 games, 40 months have passed since we started this. Crazy. That'll be it for today though. Thank you so much for watching. Share these around as they take so long to make. Have you played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, the Golden Country? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down in the comments below and I'll see you all next time. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, the Golden Country is a long title for a game that's too long. But it is officially out of the backlog. I think my favorite blade is Pyra.
You vanilla ass motherfucker.
Actually, I'm more of a chocolate guy if I do say so myself, if you know what I'm saying. Ladies.
I have no clue who the hell you're looking at, but I'm gonna ignore what you just said because that could be very problematic.
Let me guess, you don't actually know any other names other than Pyra.
Man, that is literally not true. I just like the main character Blade. I know plenty of other Blade's names like Mithra, Jin, Bridget,
See, this is why I fucking despise your soul sometimes.
damn, it's a little aggressive.
You missed out on so many amazing Blade characters.
The different designs, the different stories that they all craft, you just can't find it anywhere else.
These blades, they aren't just weapons. They're not just here for violence. No, they're here to add to the experience, the overarching experience.
In many ways, the Blades are the main characters of the story. They are definitely the heart, that's for sure.
When reawakening another blade, it wasn't about just putting another one in the stash. It was about creating a bond with a new partner.
The journey was so memorable because of the giant cast of characters. And the giant cast of those characters were the blades.
Wow. Beautifully said, guys. Beautifully said. For real. But you know my favorite is still Pyra, right? You didn't change my mind at all.
Man, go to hell, you son of a bitch. What's the next game?
Next game is actually another game in a series we played, and it is this one.